Hello. So let's talk about Spider-Man. Yeah, it's the latest set for Magic the Gathering, which is a crazy sentence to say in 2025. I could never imagine myself 10 years ago saying, let's talk about the new Spider-Man cards in Magic the Gathering. But here we are. It's a new set, kind of a small set. It's kind of a controversial set, if we're going to be honest. Obviously, it's gained a lot of criticism from people who have their own thoughts and feelings about universes beyond. But I want to just talk about it in a more general sense and how we can enjoy it basically as a community of people. If you're watching this channel, I presume you like casual Magic the Gathering um, play styles. So yeah, I thought we would look at Spider-Man and see how we can make it a bit more fun. So yeah, I sort of touched on it there. I don't want to get into a whole rant about Universe Beyond and Spider-Man. Does it belong in Magic? Does it feel like real Magic? I don't want to do that. And I would prefer, if you are going to leave a comment on the video, please don't do that. This isn't intending to be a negative video. We can all enjoy new cards. Let's just leave it at that. Good vibes only for this video. So yeah, let's talk about Spider-Man as a set, and more specifically, actually, the weird thing it doesn't do that other Universes Beyond sets before it have done. So for Assassin's Creed and Final Fantasy, we got these two-player star sets. They were pretty cheap. They're pretty accessible. You could split one with a friend. It's intended. If you were getting into Magic and you didn't know much about Magic, but you knew these franchises, it was a way of essentially hooking you in, get you interested. Let's say split with a friend. They were pretty cheap decks. They had unique cards, so that was always kind of a bit of a draw. And honestly, I think these decks are pretty good. The Assassin's Creed one, I still hold is actually pretty good. I still actually regularly play modified versions of the Assassin's Creed starter decks with a friend, and we actually have a pretty good time with them. I actually think the Assassin's Creed starter deck is actually the starter kit is actually one of the best starter kits in the last couple of years. Actually, certainly better than I think the Bloomburrow one, which was last year, and I would say actually even probably better than the Final Fantasy one. But it's super weird that Spider-Man doesn't have one of these. Considering what a big franchise Spider-Man is, you would think it'd be a good chance to draw people in. I don't know if there's going to be one for Avatar later this year. That's an equally big franchise, and I could see again a starter kit for that, luring people in and getting them interested in the game. But yeah, it's weird that Spider-Man doesn't do this. Now, it does have the free welcome decks, and it's nice to see these welcome decks come back. If you don't know what these are little 30-card decks that you can essentially get free from like game stores that participate in them. And again, it's meant to be introducing you to the game. They're meant to be they're very simple, very straightforward. These actually come with unique cards as well, which is again another. I mean, if you're trying to collect the whole set of Spider-Man, then you're in for a tough job just because there's so many different cards spread out everywhere. But it's nice to see these come back. I say they're free, or they should be free. They might be very, very cheap at whichever game store you get them from. And yeah, they're 30 cards, so like you could play them as 30 card decks. You could mash two of them together in a sort of like expanded kind of jumpstart kind of way. But this is really all there is for sort of Spider-Man pre-constructed product. And there's been obviously tons of videos on different channels talking about why there aren't commander decks for Spider-Man, because it's something that leans itself quite well to commander. Again, Universes Beyond sets have typically had commander decks like Doctor Who or Fallout or Warhammer 40,000, but Spider-Man is the weird one that doesn't have. It doesn't have a starter kit. It doesn't have commander decks. It only has these little welcome decks. So what I thought I would do, because I love casual kitchen table Magic the Gathering, is I would take a swing at making kind of my own own casual pre-constructed decks for these that you could emulate. So my goal with these is to make them cheap, beginner friendly, and fun, exactly it says here. And my goal here was to make them, if you've seen any of my Get Decked videos, my goal is always to make a deck that's kind of very simple, very accessible, cheap to put together. Price might be a problem because, Spider-Man is obviously flying off the shelves because of horrible internet scalpers. But yeah, the whole idea is that you put a deck together that is accessible for like a new player to pick up and play and kind of get the hang of very quickly, and just basically have a good time. Good way to introduce like friends and family members to the game. So I was looking at the set and thinking what two decks I wanted to put together. So do a kind of a dual deck thing if you are a player of a certain vintage and remember the dual decks. And obviously the most obvious thing to me was to focus on like the two, I guess, main mechanical gimmicks of the set, which is web slinging and mayhem. These are like the two main big new mechanics. So yeah, ended up going with white-green web-slinging heroes and black-red mayhem villains. So we're going to look at those decks, and yeah, I'd like to see what you think, and if you would like to put these decks together and play them. But yeah, let's dive in and look at them. So the first one is the green-white hero one, swing into action, white-green. We've got a deck list here, banner curve off to the side there, and yeah, we're just going to look through the cards and just have a little chat about them and see how they all fit together and how they make the deck work. So I've tried to keep it to only 2 rares per deck, so it's like pretty cheap and accessible to put together. So the kind of the face rare, if you want to say it for this, is Silk Web Weaver. So she's 2 green white for a 3/5. She's got web slinging for 1 green and 1 white. So web slinging is kind of, it's weird actually because it's very similar almost to the free running mechanic from the Assassin's Creed starter kit, where it's just an alternate way of casting, depending on a certain trigger's been met. So web slinging is, so she's got web slinging for 1 green white. You can cast a spell for 1 green white if you also return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. So it's kind of like a little bit ninjutsu. It's a little, it's a little bit like other mechanics we've seen in the past. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you create a 1/1 green and white human citizen creature token. So every creature you cast is coming in with a little friend, and then she's got like this big mana sync ability, 3 green and white, and give all your creatures +2/+2 in vigilance until end of turn. So Silk, I think, is pretty good, honestly. And the web slinging is obviously going to be a theme. You can see it's on other cards here. So the rest deck is all about kind of like ETB triggers, like returning creatures back to hand, playing them again. Obviously, Silk wants you to do that because then she makes citizens, and then you go wide, and then she buffs them all up with her ability. So yeah, I think Silk is, I really like Silk. I think she's a really great card. Then we have 2 Spiderman India, 3 green and white for a 4/4. He's got web slinging as well for 1 green white. And his ability, whenever you cast a creature spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and it gains flying turn. So again, every creature spell you cast is also then turning into a bust spell, giving you a bit of evasion. Yeah, again, I really like Spiderman India. Being a 4/4 is also pretty good. He can web sling out. Yeah, it's just pretty good. Again, the creature you return as part of the web slinging, he then immediately does. You can replay it and you'll get the ability again. So I think it's pretty fun little self-contained little combo. Then we've got 2 Spider UK, 3 and a white for a 3/4 with web slinging 2 and a white. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, you draw a card and gain 2 life. It's kind of a small bonus, but I think it's pretty achievable, especially if you have Silk out, because then every creature spell is also then creating a creature token. So then you're automatically hitting the ability here of Spider UK and getting a card draw and gain life. So yeah, I think it's pretty fun. And then some more straightforward web slingers. So we've got Spider-Man web slinger, so 2 and a white for a 3/3 with web sling just for a single white. The most basic creature we have in this deck, honestly. It's not awful, I guess, to play him at like if you can't web sling him, but like a 3/3 for 3 these days with no abilities. It's actually a little bit disappointing. He doesn't have a single ability. Like, he doesn't have reach, doesn't have like flying when attacking or something. Just feels a bit weird. But if you can get him out for 1 white mana, that's obviously pretty good, and obviously it helps like do the ETBs for all the other creatures. And then we've got 3 Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary, so 4 and a green for a 4/3, has web slinging for 2 and a green, and when he enters, you do rampant growth, so you just search for basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Pretty good to ramp up. I mean, it's not a super expensive deck. Silk is the most expensive thing at 5, but if you can ramp out a bunch of lands, thin your deck, potentially get Silk's ability off twice a turn, I think that's obviously pretty strong. So yeah, I think Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary is pretty good. I think that's all for the web slinging cards, because there's not a lot in the set because it's a small set. So then we've got 3 Flash Thompson, Spider Fan, 1 white for a 2/2. I love that Flash Thompson has Flash, it's just pretty obvious, isn't it? And then when he enters, you choose one or both. So you can tap a creature or you can untap a creature. I generally really like Flash Thompson actually at 2 mana for a 2/2 with all this stuff. The fact that he's got Flash, the fact he's got like these 2 abilities, I think it's really good. The fact that you can tap something, because the whole thing with web slinging, it should be like, oh, you attack with something and then you return the thing that attacked because it's tapped, and then you get the web slinging in. But Flash can potentially set you up for web slinging. without needing to attack, which I think is pretty fun because there might be situations where you don't want to attack to get the web sling. So yeah, I think Flash is pretty good. Also, he's a good thing to web sling back and then just replay because he's pretty cheap. He has two useful enters abilities. You can do it on an opponent's turn to like tap down a big attacker, get a blocker out of the way. Yeah, I think Flash Thompson is generally pretty great. And then three, these non-legendary cards here. But again, they all have useful ETB abilities, so they synergize well with web slinging. So we've got 3 amateur heroes, which is 2 and a white for a 3/3 when it enters, you gain 2 life. 3 gallant citizen, which is 2 green-white hybrid mana. So 1/1 when it enters, draw a card, and then the 2 of the web warriors, so 4 and a green-white hybrid for a 4/3, and when it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. So this is a really nice one to web sling if you can just like get multiple casts out of it and just get loads of counters down, make your whole board really big. So yeah, these 3 obviously all interact really nicely with web slinging as well, because for the reasons I've just said, you replay them, get their effects again. Yeah, just pretty great, I think. So we're going to quickly look at non-creature spells. So we've got 3 thwips, so 1 white, and this is like just a pretty straightforward buff spell. It's a pretty good buff spell actually, I think, because +2/+2 and flying to end turn. I'm sort of in my, because I'm a bit of a magic boomer, I compare this to Mighty Leap, which is 1 and a white for +2/+2 and flying. But I think in Dustborn you had Jump Scare, which was 1 white for +2/+2 and flying. And I think also some other stuff as well. But I think this is pretty good for 1 white. +2/+2 and flying is obviously pretty great. Power, toughness boost, and evasion. And extra bonus if it's a spider that you cast on, you get an extra 2 life. Obviously, a lot of the creatures in the deck are spiders, so a little bit of life gain doesn't hurt. And we've got 2 grow extra arms, 1 green, cost 1 less if it targets a spider. Again, most of the creatures in the deck are spiders. Just straight up +4/+4 to end turn. So yeah, potentially a cheaper Titanic growth, which yeah, again, just a +4/+4 out of nowhere isn't going to hurt, is it? Well, it's going to hurt your opponent. And then 2 wall crawls, 3 and a green enchantment. When it enters, you create a 2/1 green spider creature token with reach, and then you gain 1 life for every spider you control. So we've got a bit of it's not a life gain theme, but there's enough life gain in here to pad out, to stall essentially if you need to. And this is a nice board wide buff, gives all your spiders +1/+1, and they can't be blocked except by creatures with defender. And it's blocked by creatures with defender, not whatever I said. It's late, and I haven't scripted this, as you can probably tell. But yeah, that whole defender thing doesn't affect because the other deck doesn't have any things with defender in it. But whatever. It's if you wanted to play this deck against other decks, obviously you never know, might help. And then we've got 2 spectacular tactics, 1 and a white. It's modal spells, so you can choose one of these options. You put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and it gains hexproof turn 10, which is nice to save it from a removal spell. Or you destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. So the other deck has a few big creatures in it, so this is a nice way of getting rid of them. We've got 2 sudden strikes, 1 and a white to destroy an attacking or blocking creature. Really like this. I'm one of those weirdos that always used to like regular divine verdict effects, which are normally like 4 mana and were probably definitely overcosted at 4. So I really like seeing this at 2. At some point, white is just going to get a straight up like Doomblade effect, I think. Like it's not going to rely on attacking or blocking. It's just going to be white Doomblade, which is fine. I'm fine with it. I like it when colors get new things to do. And then we've got 2 web up. This is just straight up a banishing light effect. So 2 and a white, you just exile something until web up leaves the battlefield, which, spoilers, the red black deck can't do anything about this. So whatever you web up will stay webbed up. And then we've got 4 suburban sanctuaries. This is the dual land, the green-white dual land of the set. Enters tapped, gives you green or white, and then you can pay 4 and tap to surveil 1, which is kind of weird. There's not really a theme of surveil in the set at all. Or much that interacts with kind of rearranging the top card or like the graveyard that much. But it's fine. It's still a dual land. And 4 vibrant cityscape, which is just a terramorph expanse or evolving wilds by another name. Just tap, sacrificing, etc. Basic land, put on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And then we got 10 plains and 6 forests. I really like these spiderweb lands. I think they're really nice. So that was the green-white deck. Now we're going to look at Causing Chaos, which is the black-red deck. So this one is based all around villains and the Mayhem mechanic, which I really, really like. I really like the Mayhem mechanic. So I'm going to gush about that a bit. So we've got the deck list here. We've got mana curve off to the side there. Right, so the face card for this one is Carnage, Crimson Chaos. So 2 black and red for a 4/3 with trample. When Carnage enters, you return a creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It attacks every combat if able, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you sacrifice it. So yeah, it does a little kind of raised dead effect, turns it into yeah, it doesn't stick around forever, but as long as it gets through, it's fine. It's fine. I do. This is probably me being greedy. I do kind of wish it was enters or attacks or something, so you get this effect multiple times. But it's fine. It's fine. He's still pretty good, and he's got mayhem for one black and one red. So mayhem is this it's kind of the love child of flashback and madness. So mayhem, when you discard a card with mayhem, you can cast it that turn from your graveyard. But timing rules still apply, so you can be like you, which is different from madness, because madness you can cast ignoring timing restrictions. So like, for example, if Carnage had madness and you discard it in the middle of combat, so you could cast him as if he had flash, but you can't do that with mayhem. But you've got the whole turn to do it, so it's sort of it's it has advantages over madness and disadvantages. It's just a variation of it. But I like it because I really like madness as a mechanic, so I'm on board with mayhem. But quite a lot of cards in the deck have mayhem, so obviously we've got this kind of discard theme, which obviously black and red like to do. So we've got 2 green goblins, Revenant, so 3 are black and a red for 3/3 with flying and death touch. Whenever green goblin attacks, you discard a card, then you draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. This is pretty good. Because you can, I think, quite regularly, once you get sort of going, I think you can quite regularly discard 2 or maybe even 3 cards a turn. So then if you're then refilling, drawing another 3, that's pretty good. I mean, you're drawing at least 1 when green goblin attacks, and then wherever you're discarding, it could be something mayhem, so you don't really lose it, you can just cast it again. So I really like green goblin. Neither green nor... Oh, no, he is a goblin, I was going to say, but he's not green. But there we go. So, and then we've got 2 Shriek Troublemakers. So 2 and a black-red hybrid mana for 2/3. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may discard a card, and if you do, a creature can't block this turn, which is nice, gets the block out of the way, and also potentially something you can cast for Mayhem, so you don't lose it. And it has an extra ability. Whenever a creature in opponent control dies, Shriek deals 1 damage to that player, which is just adds on a little bit of burn damage. So yeah, Shriek's okay. And we've got 3 Swarm, being a bees, 2 and a black for a 2/2, flash, flying, and mayhem for 1 black, and just the best, dumbest flavor text of all time. But yeah, there we go, the full reminder text for mayhem there. But yeah, quite like Swarm, he's pretty good. The fact he's got flash as well actually makes him pretty good, I think. We've got 3 Raging Goblinoids, 4 and a red for a 5/4 with haste and mayhem. These again pretty straightforward, just a big creature. I think even if you cast them without mayhem, I think they're still fine as a 5/4 with haste. Still a pretty big creature that I think the other deck might have a bit of trouble dealing with. And they've got 3 Hobgoblin Mantled Marauder, 1 and a red for a 1/2 with flying and haste. Whenever you discard a card, Hobgoblin gets +2/+0 to end a turn. And again, you've got a lot of discard in the deck. If you're attacking at the same time with Green Goblin, you're getting that discard. I think it's just pretty good. I really like this kind of ability on small red evasive creatures where when you do something they get a pretty decent power boost. Then we've got 3 Inner Demon Gangsters, 3 in a black for a 3/4. You can discard a card to give them +1/+0 and menace until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery is a little bit of a pain. It would be nice if you do it instant speed, but it's not the end of the world. It's really here just as kind of extra discard fodder, I suppose, if you want to get your mayhem stuff cast for cheap and also buff up the gangsters and makes them obviously then pretty scary. Being a 4/4 with menace is pretty good. We've got 2 Venom, Evil Unleashed, 4 and a black for a 4/5 with Death Touch. You can pay 2 and a black, exile him from your graveyard. You put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature and it gains Death Touch till end of turn. Again, it's only at sorcery speed, which is a little bit of a pain. But I put Venom in here because even though he hasn't got mayhem, he's got value while he's in your graveyard. He's essentially then like a buff spell. So that's why I put him in here. And then 3 Masters and Forces, 1 a black for a 2/1 with lifelink, and he's paying 3 and a black, so they deal 1 damage to each opponent. Honestly, just put them in here because just needed some cheap bodies, and these aren't terrible. They're like Child of Night stats, 2 mana for a 2/1 with lifelink, but with this extra burn ability. It's expensive, but it's better to have it and not use it than need it and not have it. Just even if it just pushes through that extra point of damage, I think it's pretty good. And then non-creature spells, so we've got 3 Electro's Bolt, 2 and a red, does 4 damage to target creature, which kills pretty much anything in the other deck, which is always nice. And then it's got Mayhem for 1 and a red, which is great, so this is perfect like discard fodder. You've got 2 Sandman's Quicksand, 1 and double black. It has Mayhem for 3 and a black. One of the few where the Mayhem cost is higher than its regular casting cost, but it does something that I wish some of the other Mayhem cards do, which it matters more if it's cast for its mayhem cost. So if you cast it without its mayhem cost, it's -2/-2 to everything on the board, which is, fine. It's a small sweeper, which is fine. But if you do its mayhem cost, which is slightly more expensive and obviously trickier to set up because you've got to discard it, but not impossible, as we've seen, then it only affects your opponent's creatures. So I really like this. I kind of wish more cards had done this with mayhem, like give you an extra effect if you cast it for its mayhem cost. And then we've got 2 prison breaks, 4 and a black. Return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and has mayhem for 3 and a black. Again, there's so much discard. You might want to obviously tweak these however you want. Might want to have an extra prison break in here. You might want to twist some of the numbers around. But yeah, I thought prison break was pretty fun as a reanimation spell. And then we've got 3 Pumpkin Bombardment, 1 black-red hybrid mana. As additional cost to cast, you have to discard or pay 2. So this is actually nice that it's not required to discard. If you don't want to, you can just pay the 2. And it does 3 damage to target creature, which is a fairly okay amount of damage. It's just I think a pretty okay burn spell. And then 3 Romantic Rendezvous, 1 in a red. You discard a card, then draw 2 cards. I like this as an upgrade over similar red spells we've had in the past, because the discarding a card is not an additional cost, so you can cast this when you've got an empty hand and you don't lose anything from doing it. And obviously the discard works in here, for mayhem and stuff, and drawing 2 is obviously pretty nice as well. I do have a very weird quibble about this card. So I like the card, I like the art. I like it when red cards depict emotions other than like anger or rage or whatever. So I like it when red shows like more basically nicer positive emotions. However, it as a guy who really likes building thematic decks, really annoys me that we've got the Romantic Rendezvous card, which has lovely synergy with the rest of the card, but it's it's depicting this really nice, sweet, tender moment, and then it's in a deck full of like villains and carnage and mayhem and chaos, and it just really bugs me, and I can't be alone in this. But I do also like the card, I do like the art as well, so I'll suck it up and deal with it. And then we got 4 Ominous Asylum, which is the black-red dual land with Surveil, again, fine. And 4 Vibrant Cityscape, because the other deck had it, might as well. And then 9 Swamps and 7 Mountains. So there we go. So that's the black-red deck as well. So, so that's the 2 decks I put together. I would love to know what you thought of them. The other sort of nice thing as well is if you don't like Spider-Man in Magic the Gathering, you have the option, because you have Through the Omen Paths, and what you could do if you wanted to, is print off a bunch of proxies using the Through the Omen Pass version of all these cards, and do it that way and keep it still within the Magic universe, which I think is I actually really like all these Through the Omen Paths cards. I think they're really fun twists on the Spider-Man characters. So like Silk's equivalent here is a Lenny, Brood Recruiter. Carnage's equivalent is Desecrex, Gift of Servitude. If you've not looked at the Through the Omen Path versions of these cards, I recommend it, because like some of them are really fun, and like they're fun nods to like previous planes we've been to during Magic. So yeah, I think it's a really fun idea. And so if you wanted to do that and save yourself a bit of money other than obviously printer ink, because say Spider-Man is kind of hard to get a hold of, because it's selling out everywhere, because horrible internet trolls and scalpers and stuff just swallowing up, and then whatever, I'm not going to get into it. We only said good vibes only in this video, but yeah, that is an option if you wanted to do that. So like I said, I would love to know what you think about these decks. Like, would you make any changes? Would you want to play these? Do you think you've got like friends or family members who you've kind of wanted to get into Magic and they like Spider-Man, and would you like to use these decks? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Spider-Man needed like a starter kit like Assassin's Creed or Final Fantasy did? Do you have the welcome decks? Are you planning to pick up those welcome decks? Are you going to use those to get someone into Magic? Would love to know what you think in any way about Spider-Man, the Spider-Man set, and Magic. And stick a comment down below. I do read all the comments. I love reading comments. And I don't know when I'll be back again with another video. Don't know. Maybe look at Avatar when that comes out and make some decks for that. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But until then, thank you for watching and listening, and have an amazing day.